Have you ever wondered what makes Hunter x Hunter so unique compared to other anime? Beyond its amazing characters and unpredictable storylines, there's one thing that stands out the most. Nen isn't just a random power system, it's one of the most complex, or thought-out and fascinating mechanics ever created in anime and manga. But here's the catch. Nen isn't just about throwing energy blasts or powering up. It's a system that reflects personality, creativity, and determination. Every character in Hunter x Hunter develops their Nen in a way that is deeply tied to who they are. So today, we're diving deep into the 6 Nen categories: Enhancement, Transmutation, Emission, Conjuration, Manipulation, and Specialization. We'll explore how each type works, what makes it powerful, and which iconic characters showcase its potential. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand the Nen system better, but also see why Togashi's masterpiece stands above so many other shonen power systems. Let's get started. The basics of Nen. Nen, at its core, is the ability to manipulate your aura, which is basically your life energy. Everyone in Hunter x Hunter has aura, but not everyone knows how to use it. With proper training, aura can be shaped, strengthened, and turned into powerful techniques. But the first step to mastering Nen is discovering your affinity. And this is done through something called the water divination test. In this ritual, you place a leaf on top of a glass of water, then pour aura into it. Depending on what happens to the water or leaf, your true Nen type is revealed. And here's the twist. There are 6 different Nen categories, and once you know yours, you gain insight into which abilities you're naturally most skilled at. Think of it like an RPG class system, but way more detailed and flexible. Let's break them down one by one. Enhancement, pure strength and balance. Enhancement is probably the most straightforward Nen type. Enhancers use their aura to strengthen themselves or objects, making them tougher, stronger, and more durable. If you're an enhancer, you're built for close combat. Every punch, every kick, every movement can be powered up to levels beyond normal human capacity. With the right training, an enhancer can turn their body into something harder than steel and strike with the force of heavy artillery. Take Isaac Netero for example. As an enhancer, his physical abilities were pushed to such insane levels that even in his old age, he could unleash hundreds of devastating strikes in seconds. Or think of Gon Freaks, whose raw potential as an enhancer allowed him to momentarily reach unimaginable strength against Pit. What makes enhancement special is its balance. Enhancers can split their aura between offense and defense with incredible efficiency. That's why this type is often considered the most stable category. It doesn't require overly complex techniques to be effective. Most enhancers stick to simple yet devastating applications, but some get creative, like enhancing their healing ability or even accelerating growth. Still, it's common to see enhancers focus purely on raw combat power. Transmutation, the power of transformation. Next up is transmutation, and this type is all about creativity. Transmuters can alter the properties of their aura to mimic other substances, elements, or traits. This opens the door to incredibly unique abilities. For example, Killua Zoldyck transmutes his aura into electricity, making him one of the fastest and deadliest fighters in the series. On the other hand, Hisoka uses bungee gum, which combines the stretchiness of rubber with the stickiness of gum. It's simple on paper, but in practice, it allows him to fight unpredictably, set traps, and survive deadly situations. Another great example is Mochi, who transmutes her aura into threads, strong enough to stitch together severed limbs, basically a life-saving ability in the middle of a fight. What's fascinating about transmutation is its versatility. You're not limited to mimicking just one thing. You can even combine traits to make something entirely new. This makes transmuters some of the most creative fighters in Hunter x Hunter. And here's something interesting. While transmutation might look similar to conjuration, the difference is subtle but important. Transmutation changes aura itself, while conjuration creates actual physical objects. Emission, power at a distance. Now let's talk about emission, the category that specializes in separating aura from the body. Emitters can project their aura outward, usually in the form of blasts, beams, or projectiles. If enhancement is about close combat, emission is about range. You can shoot energy at your opponents, hit them from a distance, and maintain offensive pressure without being physically close. A great example of this is Lirio, who develops an ability that lets him punch through space itself, literally emitting his aura in a way that creates a delayed impact at range. Then there's Razor, the dodgeball master, who uses emission to create devastating aura balls that hit like trucks. Emission isn't just about offense though. It can also be used for mobility, like propelling yourself, or even applying effects remotely. Advanced emitters can do things like teleportation or passing aura through solid objects. The downside: the farther aura travels, the weaker it gets. Emitters burn through their aura reserves quickly if they're not careful. Still, in the hands of a skilled user, Emission can dominate long-range battles. Conjuration, bringing imagination to life. Conjuration might be one of the most fascinating Nen categories, because it allows users to materialize physical objects out of aura. These objects can be as simple as weapons, or as complex as rules, laws, and even entire dimensions. Once a conjurer masters an object, they can summon and dismiss it at will, and sometimes the object can even exist independently without their direct control. Of course, the strength of a conjured item often depends on restrictions. For example, Kurapika's chains are incredibly powerful, but only because of the condition that they can only be used against members of the Phantom Troop. If he breaks that condition, he dies. This self-imposed limitation makes the chains unbreakable even by Uvojin, one of the strongest enhancers. Conjurers often have to place strict rules on their abilities, but this actually empowers their Nen, making it stronger than it otherwise would be. That's why conjuration abilities can get extremely creative, with nearly limitless possibilities. Manipulation. Control at its finest. Manipulation is all about controlling objects, beings, or even aura constructs. In combat, manipulation is terrifying because it can allow the user to control their opponent's actions directly. Manipulators usually work with a Media Man object they've used for a long time that helps channel their aura. Once conditions are met, they can issue commands ranging from simple to incredibly complex. For instance, Sholnark from the Phantom Troop uses his phone and antenna to control enemies like puppets. Depending on the condition, he can either direct their actions like remote control or let them act with increased strength and speed while still under his influence. The key to manipulation lies in conditions. The harder or riskier the condition, the greater the control. For example, needing to touch someone first, or place an object on them, increases the power of the ability. This is why manipulation techniques often feel both clever and frightening. They can completely turn the tide of battle in an instant. Specialization, the wild card. Finally, we have specialization, the most mysterious and unpredictable category of them all. Specialists possess abilities that don't fit neatly into any of the other 5 types. The range of specialist abilities is massive. Some can steal or copy other people's Nen, others can manipulate fate, time, or even knowledge itself. For example, Neon uses her fortune-telling ability to predict a future with eerie accuracy. Meanwhile, Chrollo Lusulfa can literally steal the abilities of other Nen users and add them to his own arsenal. Then there's Serayednich who, after only 1 week of learning Nen, awakened a terrifying specialist ability that grants him precognitive visions. What makes specialization so unique is that it doesn't follow the same training rules as other types. Sometimes abilities simply manifest on their own, often tied to a person's personality, desires, or circumstances. Because of its unpredictable nature, specialization sits at the bottom of the Nen chart. It can appear later in life, often evolving from adjacent categories like manipulation or conjuration. And while specialists don't always follow the same logic as others, their abilities are often game-changing.